You know what time it is. It is 11 a.m. Eastern, Thursday morning, one of my favorite times of the week. And welcome to the Real Dope podcast, the show that is designed for you, the person who loves, supports, and quite frankly, just has to deal with addicts. I'm hanging out here with my sister, Beth Brand.
Hello.
And as I always like to remind you, we are not doctors. We are not therapists. We are just people like you who have been unfortunate enough to love, support, and have to deal with addicts. And we wanted to design a show that wasn't about the addict. It was about the people that have to live in this world, because there is so much that goes on in your life when you love addicts. So Beth, what's on tap for today?
So today we're going to do a little positivity. We're going to talk about what addiction or our experience with addiction has given us.
Yeah, that's a real flip on it, because the truth is, it does give you some things, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start the show.
Welcome to The Real Dope, a podcast for anyone walking alongside someone battling addiction, based on the powerful book, The Real Dope on Dealing with an Addict, by sisters Elizabeth Brand and Meridith Elliott Powell. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share authentic stories, and provide the honest guidance. Let's begin today's journey and turn survival into strength.
Now, let's begin today's journey. So the topic on the table today is what addiction has given us. Go.
Well, what it's brought positively into our lives. I'd say when I think about that topic, the first thing I think of it is it made me a lot less judgmental of other people to begin with. How about you?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I feel like addiction has given me so much, as crazy as that sounds, but but it helped me learn to let go of shame. And embarrassment. I mean, we grew up in a house that was all about externally what people thought about you. And I'll never forget the day when I had been trying so hard to hide what was going on in my life. And finally, I just got outed, and it was so freeing. Like, I don't care. I'm in so much trouble at this point. I don't care what anybody else.
Well, and people always ask us, like, how do you do this? Like you're doing that online, like you wrote a book about it, like you're telling people about it. Like, so what? I mean, it's really our real lives, and it's the lives of most people.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I just had I just sent our book to somebody who called me about what was going on in her life. So.
Yeah. And so I think when people know that, I think our vulnerability there makes us more real to people, and they can see themselves.
Yeah.
Like, we don't look like people who should have gone through all this crap with like 5 different people, but we are. I mean, we had everything, as being judgmental, like you start off in life, well, if you do everything right and you play by the rules, then this goodness will happen to you. And that's just not always so. Like, shit happens, man.
Yeah. Yep. I also feel like it gave me an extreme sense of believing that accountability and responsibility are a positive. And what I mean by that is that once I really learned that it was my fault I was in the situation that I was in, and that's an extreme way to put it, but it was so liberating, because I'll never forget the day too that I turned around and I was like, every problem that is in my life is because I have addicts in my life. And the cool thing is I have the choice to get them out of my life. And if I got them out of my life, so much could change. And I always saw, when somebody said, you're accountable for your life, it sounded negative, when truly it was the path to freedom.
Because maybe it's your fault, maybe it's not your fault, whatever. I mean, like, we didn't ask for any of this. Well, maybe we did, maybe we didn't, but but it's up to us to get out of it.
Yeah.
You can't just be a victim. And maybe that's not fair. It certainly wasn't fair in my, I left with nothing but a baby on one hip and a computer on the other. And no, that was not fair, but it was the way out. I could have sat around and sued forever for divorce and money and all that, but that was not going to get me what I needed and what I knew would bring me a successful life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to take responsibility for myself and get out. And maybe it wasn't fair, but it's what needed to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that it taught me was I mean, what I think about what addiction has given me is that it really helped me understand just how much ability I have to accomplish the impossible. Like the very fact that I kept all those balls in the air is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's hard work to be
it is
married to a person
such
who has addiction issues.
it is such hard work. And,
Mhm.
and I spent so many years ashamed of that when finally I turned around and I thought, God, I'm kind of a badass. Like most
Yeah.
people couldn't handle this. And that was like, I look at very little now that I want in my life that I don't believe I can accomplish and I can, and I can have. And that the other thing it's given me is realize just how much energy I have. Like, because half of it was going, at least half was
Oh,
going
at
to
least half of
the
it, if
attic.
not more.
And
Yeah.
then when it all went back into me, I was like, wow. I mean,
Mhm.
and I don't know that I ever would have built that capacity had I not been so involved in addicts.
Yeah. For me, a lot of it was just learning to trust myself, because I always listened to other people. I always never thought that I had the answers, but that whole learning to that if you feel it, it can, like, you do have the answer. You don't have to get an outside expert to tell you that you're right, or some outside information. Like that information is within you if you listen to yourself, and that whole trusting myself was such a journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that it probably one of the biggest was to be okay without mother's approval.
Yeah.
And that was really
I was kind of good at that, sort of.
yeah. Yeah.
Growing up.
I was not. I mean,
No.
you were definitely
Yeah.
good at it. But if my mother wanted me to do it, I did it. And when we had to draw boundaries with Ted, and she disapproved of us, that was really hard, but it was really freeing in the sense that you have to build so much confidence to be able to do that.
And I just think we by that time, I mean, we've been through so much. Ted was our last person suffering with addiction in our life, and so far, and we knew we were right.
Yeah.
We'd had enough therapy and enough Al-Anon and enough of everything by that time that we knew we were right, and we understood that our mother was sick.
Right.
And with enabling, and we, did what we needed to do. It was easier to do it then than it would have been 20 years earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
We build up to that for sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. But in that same vein, we knew everybody's walking their own path, and you can't convince anybody of anything. They have to find their own way. And that's another thing. Addiction, really, I mean, which I do at work all the time now. I back off. I say my opinion. I let if they have another opinion, they're my client. I let it, and then I say my opinion again so that they hear me, and then I back off, because everyone is walking their own path.
Right. Yeah.
And you're not going to convince them. They have to come to it themselves. And you learn that through dealing with somebody with addiction, dealing with other enablers like our mother, and then and maybe even dealing with yourself. Like, you're walking your path, like, you're going to make mistakes. Bad things are going to happen. Can't beat yourself up all the time as to why did I do that? Or why did I do that? Or why didn't I know better? I just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that whole idea of forgiveness and understanding, and that whole lesson of you're doing the best with the information you have at the time, and compassion to others too. Like, I think, for a lot of reasons, I mean, we definitely have reasons to be upset with our parents, right? I mean, like, they were a big factor in getting us in this situation, but they were doing the best that they had with the information they had at the time. And I guess to learn to accept people based on intention rather than result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a really good way of putting it, because both of our parents had the best intentions all the time.
Yeah. And I think with both our husbands, we had the best intentions.
Yeah, we certainly did.
And a lot of, I'll speak for myself, a lot of my behaviors were not helpful.
Yeah. Well, and I feel guilty. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just feel guilt about like dragging a child into this.
Yeah.
I felt terrible guilt over, but you know what? That's what his soul was born into. And I've come to peace with that.
Yeah.
That I did the best I could with what I had. But I
Yeah, but
felt
if you,
guilty for
you
a long
know,
time.
but if you hadn't brought a child into it, we never would have learned how to break the cycle.
No.
I mean, so I mean, I think I think that's another piece too. I think another thing that addiction has given me is the realization that it was not the addict's fault I was where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would have built this life whether another addict showed up in my life or not. I mean, until I gained a level of self-awareness. I mean, I think when I think about what addiction has given me, one of the benefits of living in Asheville, North Carolina, is the year that Doug died, I made a decision that I would go to every single therapy that Asheville offered. And for anybody listening that doesn't know Asheville, North Carolina, believe me, I went to some wacky stuff because we have every kind of therapy
everything
here. Yeah. And I remember going to a therapy where everybody yelled and screamed into pillows. And I had I couldn't yell and scream into it. And she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, I'm not angry." And she said, "You have to be angry. You're not in touch with that emotion." And, she was right. I definitely was angry, but it was like this, it gave me to reach a whole level of self-awareness and personal understanding and personal growth and development that I never would have gotten had I not been involved with addicts.
Yeah, because we do see people who haven't had to struggle.
Yeah.
And they don't get there. Like they're still thinking that they know how the world runs and that their opinion is the right opinion and all that, because it's never been pushed, and we have been pushed.
Yeah.
And we have had to give up a lot of our thinking, or, again, that there's like, well, you just do this and this, and then this happens. Well, we know better than that. And anyone who's had any tragedy, major illness or the death of a loved, they know that too. An unexpected death of a loved one or something like that, they know that too.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that it taught me the importance of, I don't want to say putting yourself first, but taking care of yourself or whatever.
Definitely.
Like
yes.
that. Yeah.
I have, I wrote that down.
Yeah.
Yes. Taking care, and that it's not a selfish thing.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's look, I even had trouble saying it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Remember when I got that pin that said, "I love me"? And
Yeah.
I wore it all over your mother, Beth, I was crazy. But I needed that pin to remind me, that I loved me. And that was a hard concept of I matter.
Yeah.
And for the good of everyone around me, I matter. Because the more we put ourselves in the back burner, the more we end up with that passive aggressive behavior that enablers are so good at. And I am the queen of. That's like my favorite go-to is passive aggressiveness. And that comes from not saying what you want.
Yeah. I think addiction also gave me really what I gained a lot from addiction is the importance in the learning of setting boundaries. And it's one of my favorite things that I love in my 60s is to be able to go, no, I don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore. Or I don't like those people. Why am I going to dinner with those people? And I think especially the way we were raised, it was always about acquiescing and always about doing what people expected of you. But that importance of going, this is not serving me. Like I was just thinking about somebody I was friends with through an association. And I don't think she's nice. I think it's a mean girl situation. Like every time I'm around them, they talk about people. And finally, I don't know, about 2 years ago, I thought, why do I do that? That's not fun. I'm not going, I don't like any of that. And to just be able to say with no animosity, no anger, no anything, that's just not serving me.
And you know what? It doesn't serve them for us to be like, I started doing that with clients, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I got really clear about who I wanted and who I didn't. And to tell the truth, if I have a client that I don't like really love their topic or think that they're great, I'm not going to be able to help them.
Right.
most.
That's right, because
Because
you're not into it.
I'm not into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. And they might, somebody else might think that some other, book coach might think that they're just great, but
Yeah.
not me. And so
Yeah.
that's not right. And so this like sorting in our life, I just think adds to it. And I think addiction does give us that, like, because when we started coming out of it, when I started coming out of it, like I said, I could not be around anyone who smoked pot or drank too much or anything. And I've gotten more lenient on that as the years have gone on. But I started choosing, and I still continue to choose. Is that something I really want to do? Is that a place I really want to go? Is this the way I want to spend my day?
Yeah.
And I think that started with the boundaries that we drew about who
Yeah.
we wanted, who we could be around.
Yeah. And I think, so much that it's setting the boundaries without anger is I really feel like that's what addiction gave me, is that it's anger with, for as much as we can be without judgment. It's boundary without judgment. Like, I don't care if you do that. I just don't like it. That's not fun. That's not fun to me. Versus I had spent so much of my life so desperately wanting to be included. I would find myself doing things I don't want to do because I just want to be, because I just want to be a part of them. So I feel like being immersed in addiction, going through what we went through, made me back up and go, what is it that I want? Like, what makes me happy? What's a good day that, that I feel good about, type of a thing.
Well, it's almost like when I was dating in my 20s, it was like up to me to make the guy like me. And dating in my 40s, after all this addiction and things that had happened to me, it just stopped being a job interview. Like, it was fun. Like, I could accept the person for who they were and didn't need anything else from them. Like, I didn't need them to like me. I didn't care if it worked out. If it was fun, it was fun. If it wasn't, it wasn't. And if I enjoyed them, I'd go out with them again. And if I didn't, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like some kind of contest to make somebody like me, which is what it felt like more in my 20s.
Yeah. Okay. So, I feel like another thing that addiction gave me was a bigger understanding of addiction. And, when you think about addiction, we typically think about drugs, alcohol, porn, or gambling.
Substances.
Right? Yeah. And, but we don't really understand that addiction comes in all forms. And to help me understand that, I was very clearly an addict with two things: work and with food, and a little bit with exercise. But everything for me was just an escape.
Yeah. And anytime you're having behaviors that make you escape for what, it doesn't need to be substance abuse. It's whatever. Anytime you keep turning away, then, I believe, and I think you do too, that everyone suffers from addiction.
Yes.
Enabling was an addiction, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, we sought it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting when we were talking with, when Mother was trying to find a facility for Ted, they had a yoga studio and an exercise studio. And I was just looking around like, oh my God, I wish I was an addict because I get to go to this place. It's beautiful. But they restricted how much exercise people could do because they would just turn one addiction to another. And exercise was and I could see why, because that's like mentally and physically distracting.
Yes. Very, 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 very much so. In fact, I know a few ex-addicts that have become like endurance athletes. And who's that really famous guy? He has a podcast. I mean, he was an addict, and he's a super ultra marathoner with one of the most popular podcasts out there, but it's like he just moved that addiction.
Yeah.
The other is I feel like one of the greatest lessons I learned too is that I was such in a martyr space, and it was only because my addictions were socially acceptable and my husband's addictions were not. But I was just as cold and unavailable to him as he was to me because of his addiction.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. And you can even look at that in the world of like food. Like anorexia is almost like, oh, poor anorexia. But some people who are overweight, they have a food addiction in that direction. They're like bad people.
Yeah. Yes.
Even though it's both of them are food or food-based addictions, one way or the other. But definitely you have to look at yourself. And how many people called us angels?
Yes.
all the time. You're an
All
angel,
the
you're an
time.
angel. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
It-
I mean, yeah, it is, yeah, it's funny. Anytime my food addiction led me to overeating, I would get a stick. And anytime it led me to undereating, it would,
Yeah. You
yeah,
embodied both sides of
I
that.
embodied both sides. And there
Mhm.
was and I got such different feedback
Mhm.
pieces,
Mhm.
for both, for both of those. Um, I would say that I feel like, the biggest thing that addiction has given me is this combination of accountability for my own life and freedom, in the sense that if any time I'm unhappy, or it isn't working, or I don't want to be, like, I don't have to live to, like, I think about like being married now or whatever. You think to yourself, like my first marriage, I just thought you had to slog it out no matter what.
Yes, me too.
And I don't feel that way anymore. If I'm not happy with what I'm doing for a
Mhm.
living, not happy with friendships, not to be flip about it, but it's that I don't have to, I am at all times accountable for my life. My happiness or my unhappiness is nobody else's responsibility but mine. And at the same time, I have the freedom to change it anytime I want to.
And you get and when you are unhappy, you're feeling that way, to look inward.
Yes.
You're not going to look outward. Well, it's because, my husband does this, so my life sucks and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, it's not true. It's like looking inward. And so again, erasing that passive aggressive behavior.
Yeah.
Because you are in charge and you can look inward.
Yeah, and I think there's just a freedom to knowing you can change it even if you don't
Mhm.
change it. I mean,
Yeah, you can.
it's just such a different level of
And if you
energy.
don't change it, you accept that you are doing it. And you
Yes.
do it without anger.
Right.
Just like when you're in the midst of dealing with someone with addiction and you decide to pay their rent, you do so, and you do it without anger because you are choosing it.
Right.
And I just don't know if we could have ever gotten there without getting beat up 5 times with
No,
it,
there's no way. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's the biggest thing you're taking away from today's podcast?
Well, for me, if I would have to say of all the things, and it's so much, it's enriched my life so much to have these experiences. I think for me, because of the way I was just so timid about thinking that I knew anything, is not to let somebody tell me what I know for a fact.
Mm.
If I know the sky is blue, I need to respect myself enough to say the sky is blue.
Yeah.
And not let anyone tell me otherwise. How about
I
you?
think, and I think I'm the same way. I mean, sometimes I think about the fact that, mother wanted us to take us to Connecticut, raise us in private schools and very different types of communities. I'm grateful to have been raised in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. I am grateful that I can, I can be at any kind of party with any type of individual. I feel like, though, the greatest thing that addiction has given me is that it set me on a path. I am so much more grateful for the life that I have now, because I have been in the life that I had. And that combined with the fact and the belief and now understanding that I'm stronger, that it's nothing to be ashamed of, and that I'm stronger than most people could probably handle. That's built an unbelievable confidence for me. Not to mention the fact that everything that I've ever learned in Al-Anon is now being used in corporate America and the world.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, we always said they should teach it in 8th grade to everybody.
Yeah.
I think too, something that's really was important to me, not that I wasn't a compassionate person before. I've always been really overfeeling other people. That's probably why I'm such a good enabler. I overfeel. But it gave me compassion for myself, which I probably didn't have. Not just understanding of other people and how they get to where they are, but compassion for myself that, I do my best.
Yeah. All right. I have an idea for next week's show.
Oh, good.
Next week's show, I want to talk about
I'm going to write it down there. Go.
Addiction, relatives, and the holidays.
Oh my God, that's a good show.
Surviving addiction through the holiday season. Because when we record
Oh my God.
Next week, we'll just be heading into November, and you need a few weeks to get yourself prepared for what's about to be the longest 6-week stretch of your freaking life.
I dislike holidays to this day,
Yeah.
and I know that that's why. And I feel bad because I definitely passed that on to my child. But yeah, no. And we wrote. I don't know if you remember this, but we actually wrote an article about this too.
Yeah, I know
That
we
was
did.
a great
But
topic.
it's
Great topic.
I'm sure it's a post-traumatic stress. So
Yeah.
yeah, join us right back here next week for another episode of The Real Dope, where we are going to talk about your favorite ho 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 time of the year. All right, we'll see you back here next week.
Bye.
Bye.